But secondly, here's the second turning point. Not only do they confess their sin, but then they recognize God's hand. You see, Joseph tells them to go back to Canaan land, and he gives them the grain. He says, but the only way that I'll know that you are not spies is your little brother, Simeon, who you've brought with you here. You're the youngest of this bunch that is here, will stay here. And you will go back to Canaan, and you will get the brother that is back home, and you will bring him here and show him and present him to me. And so what happens is that he puts the money that they have bought to buy the grain, and he puts it back into the sacks of grain that he has given them. And so they recognize God's hand on the way back. This is the second turning point. It happens on the way back, and when they discover the bags of silver in their sack. The silver they had taken to Egypt to buy grain, Joseph gave them the grain they wanted, and he puts the silver back. You see that in Genesis 42:25 through 28. And if you look at verse 28, it says, look, he said to his other brothers, the money has been returned. It's here in my sack. And then their hearts sank, trembling, as they said to each other, what has God done to us? You see, they recognized at this moment that it was God that was at work. It's huge because it's the first time the brothers ever mentioned God's name. In all the evil they did in the past, every time we read of them, they never even acknowledge God. But here in this moment, God is at the forefront of their mind. You see, in all the evil they did, God was pushed to the edge so they wouldn't have to think about him, and they wouldn't have to think about what they did. But now they have to admit the truth. First, they admit their sin. Second, they see God's hand at work in all of it. You see, God's Spirit never really left them alone in the middle of all of it. In those long years in Canaan, when they thought that Joseph was dead, God's Spirit was still at work. They remembered what they did to their little brother, how they hated him, how they envied him, how they plotted against him, cast him in a pit, callously ignored his cries for help, how they sold him as a slave into Egypt, and how they lied to their own father, breaking his heart, telling them that his favorite son was dead. It's an ugly, sordid tangle of evil, but the passage of time has not erased their guilt. And for all these years, it lay like a knife's edge to their hearts. And now, as things turn against them in Egypt, the Holy Spirit taps them on their shoulder and says, hey boys, you remember what you did to your brother? This is connected to that.